itself is a cancerous tumor that has eaten into the very fabric of our existence.
It is commonsensical and logical that if it takes a man with 2 legs.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Nigerian justice system has failed the common man.
And the reason why that girl presents her body to that lecturer for malpractice is because she is fully aware.
And in our own education system, corruption is a culture. How can bribery not be a way of life?
Hello and welcome to the Expression Debates, brought to you by Young Stars Foundation with support from DFID Nigeria and other partners. Now, this youth initiative is designed to increase the voice of youth and the active participation in contemporary national issues. My name is Divine Prince Abby, and joining me in the studio today is
Mariam Junaidu, and I am happy that you could join us on today's episode, which promises to be fun and engaging. It's been a battle of brains.
Yes, it has.
Debates and oratory as 32 audacious undergraduate teams from over 20 tertiary institutions in Nigeria emerged from the regional audition in Enugu, Lagos, and Abuja to get to this grand finale. It's been quite a journey.
Yes, indeed, it has been quite a journey. We've seen 32 teams go through the elimination series all the way into the semi-finals, and now we just have about 16 teams remaining. Wow, and it has been an emotional one, I have to add, because we've seen amazing teams crash out of the elimination series. But that's the way competitions are. Someone loses and someone has to win, right? But the prize money of 500,000 Naira is still up for grabs for that lucky winner. Yes, and second prize is 300,000 Naira. Third prize is 200,000 Naira.
You know, just hearing that amount of money is giving me chills.
Yeah,
For
I feel it too,
undergraduate,
you know, that's a lot of money.
Even for a graduate, it's not going to be a bad idea to be a part of this competition.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I think next year we should join this, but they have to organize one for graduate though.
True.
Yeah.
True. Anyway, today promises to be worth your time as viewers get to win cool stuffs too.
Yeah.
We're going on a short break now. When we return, we'll give you the highlight of today's package. Stay on this channel.
Welcome back to the Expression Debates, brought to you courtesy of Young Stars Foundation with support from DFID Nigeria and other partners. Yes, this youth initiative is designed to increase the voice of youth and active participation in contemporary national issues. So what do we have for our amazing audience today?
Today we have a lot of exciting stuff for you all. Today 2 teams are going to be debating on the topic: the whistleblowing policy has helped in the fight against corruption in Nigeria. So since this is an elimination series, each team stands just one chance, just one, to make it to the grand finale and closer to the star prize of, wait for it, 500,000.
Wow. I don't know if I don't know if I can get used to hearing that. 500,000 Naira, that is a lot of money. Think of what you could do with that amount of money. But you, as the viewer at home, you're not left out because you can join. Yes, you can join our weekly quiz and stand a chance of winning some amazing prizes. You could get recharge cards and also join in our campaign, I Choose Integrity, and stand a chance of winning some really, really cool prizes.
So to participate and win, log on to our website on the screen or check us out on our social media platform for more information.
Okay, so the topic of today's debate. Yes, the whistleblowing policy in Nigeria is helping in the fight against corruption. What do you think, Miriam?
For me, I've had quite a number of cases where this said whistle has been blown, but I've not seen a case where one has been prosecuted for being a anyway, we are not the debaters.
Yes,
so
we're not.
Before we go to the debate arena, let's just go to the streets and see what Nigerians have to say about this. We'll be right back.
Well, the government, especially at the federal level, for state governments, I wouldn't be so specific, but at least for the federal government, at the federal government level, there has been this kind of general awareness. There has been increase in the level of awareness about corruption, about the fight against corruption in this present administration. However, the practical point of view, we are seeing some signs that the government is fighting corruption, but there are certain things that are happening in the government that one begins to doubt about the sincerity of the government in fighting corruption.
Whistleblowing policy as implemented by this president's administration, in another way around, it is a policy that tried a lot for us to be aware of what is happening. And in another way around of making us to be aware of what is happening by trying to let people understand that something has gone wrong somewhere. And by trying to let people understand that something has gone wrong somewhere, and with the best of my knowledge, I understand that wherever such a thing is done like that, the EFCC and other governing bodies that are involved, they do act immediately to make sure that such issues are addressed.
So I think to a reasonable extent it is helping in the fight against corruption. Of course, it still needs to be worked upon in terms of a legislation. You can't fight corruption with policy. Policy is not enough to fight corruption, because if a government comes tomorrow, it might not be interested in whistleblowing policy. So there's a need to legislate whistleblowing so that, one, it can become a continuum. When one administration leaves and another one comes, because it's a national legislation, then somebody who comes after the particular administration will take it upon himself or herself to keep working with the law.
Yes, we're back, and we've seen what Nigerians have to say. Really, really, you know, Nigerians, we were very expressive.
Very vocal.
Well, very vocal indeed, and some very humorous points there as well. But it's not just Nigerians we have to hear from. We have to hear from the debaters themselves and find out how they argue for and against this motion. It should be an interesting one.
So let's just meet our debaters. Today, we're going to be having Team Roa from the University of Jos and Team Victorious from the University of Uyo.
I'm here to propose the motion which states that the whistleblowing policy in Nigeria is helping in the fight against corruption. Before I move deep into my debate, I'd like to define some pertinent terminologies in the motion before us this morning. The first is the whistleblowing policy. The whistleblowing policy was defined by the federal government as a policy that allows for the voluntary disclosure to the federal government through the Ministry of Finance any possible misconduct from any individual that has occurred, is occurring, or is about to occur. Corruption was simply defined by Transparency International as an abuse of entrusted power for private gains. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, the whistleblowing policy in Nigeria, I would like to establish, has actually supported in the fight against corruption. The reason why I confidently believe this is, number one, the whistleblowing policy has supported in the vehement fight against corruption of the current dispensation. At this juncture, I'd like to register my love and interest in the zest and impetus the present dispensation is putting against corruption and for the fight against corruption. Moving on also, the whistleblowing policy has also increased transparency and accountability in the management of public funds. Why do I believe this? Many people today do not believe that anybody can be a whistleblower. The person sitting next to you can be a whistleblower. Our judges could be a whistleblower. My co-debaters could be also be a whistleblower. The least employee in your organization can be a whistleblower. So this has caused people to think not just twice, not just 3 times, but even up to 4 times before engaging in any corrupt practice. That has allowed people to think very well before they engage themselves in any corrupt practice. Also, the whistleblowing policy has allowed for Nigeria to have a better insight or a better sight in the Committee of Nations. Nigeria right now is ranking better than it has previously. In the year 2015, for example, Transparency International scored Nigeria 26 as in their Corruption Perception Index. In 2016, just after the whistleblowing policy was created, ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria was ranked 28, was scored 28 by Transparency International. That is to tell you that the whistleblowing policy is actually supporting the fight against corruption. The whistleblowing policy also has improved the trust Nigerians have for their government, public confidence in public entities. Why I believe this is the Presidential Committee against the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption reported in June this year that the communications the Ministry of Finance got was numbered 2,115 as regards the whistleblowing policy. Actionable tips also were numbered 205. 2 months after, they reported and realized there has been a substantial increase in communications and actionable tips. In August 2,150 communications increased to 5,000. Actionable tips increased from 2,205 to 365. That is to tell you that Nigerians out there, Nigerians who are seated in this auditorium, believe in the whistleblowing policy and its efficacious nature in the fight against corruption. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, the whistleblowing policy has actually given a sense of responsibility in the Nigerian citizens. Why I believe this is that Nigerians right now feel that they have a level of responsibility in fighting against corruption. The fight against corruption is not one man's responsibility. It's not the responsibility of His Excellency General Muhammadu Buhari. It's not the responsibility of Professor Yemi Osinbajo. It's not even the responsibility of our judges seated here. It is everybody's responsibility, including the judges, the president, and every Dick, Tom, and Harry in this country. That is why Nigerians feel that they have a sense of responsibility, and in concordance and consonance of Section 24 of the 1999 Constitution, which stipulates unequivocally the responsibility of the Nigerian citizens for the betterment of this country. The Nigeria's policy on whistleblowing indeed is helping in the fight against corruption.
I'm here to oppose the motion that says that the whistleblowing policy is helping in the fight against corruption in Nigeria. I quite agree with my opponent's definition of whistleblowing policy and corruption, so I'll just move ahead with the following points. Firstly, the absence of the commitment to protecting the whistleblowers. According to a document released by the Federal Ministry of Finance, they said that any stakeholder that blows the whistle is going to be protected regardless of whether his claims and issues is used against any party. However, according to PM News Nigeria, in a document released by the coordinator of Afrimal, Chido Onama, he said he reviewed how one Mr. Mutala Ibrahim of the auditing department of the Mortgage Bank of Nigeria was sacked because he blew a whistle. Also, according to Vanguard News of 4th March 2017, we also see how the Assistant Director General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was also sacked unjustly because he blew a whistle. How can you then tell me that a policy that is unable to stand by its words of protecting the whistleblowers is successfully fighting corruption? My second point: absence of consequences and prosecution of the revealed culprits. Ladies and gentlemen, all we hear is that 20 people have been paid, 20 whistleblowers have been paid. This amount of money has been recovered. However, the government have failed to reveal to us those people that are responsible for this looting. Talk less of convicting them in the court of law and sending them to jail. Ladies and gentlemen, how do you say you're fighting corruption and then since the beginning of the policy, not one person has been convicted? Not one name has been released. And yet, my opponents stand to tell me that the whistleblowing policy is helping in the fight against corruption. How is this possible? Ladies and gentlemen, my third point: the lack of awareness of the whistleblowing policy. The whistleblowing policy is the populace helping our ineffective governments to fight corruption. But however, go into the streets and ask Nigerians, chances are that 9 out of 10 Nigerians are unaware of the whistleblowing policy, and less are not aware of how to submit tips. So then tell me, how can this policy be successful when the people that are supposed to function are not aware of the policy? My fourth point: rather than helping in the fight against corruption, the whistleblowing policy is leading into more corruption. How do I know this? They tell us of whooping amounts of money that has been recovered through the whistleblowing policy. However, we still have millions of Nigerian graduates roaming in the streets, unemployed. We look at our sick healthcare sector. We see the poor economy of Nigeria. And then you tell me that the whistleblowing policy is helping in the fight against corruption.
This is the Expression Debate. If you're just joining us, courtesy of Youngsters Foundation, with support from DFID Nigeria and other partners. And now this youth initiative is designed to increase the voice of youth and their active participation in contemporary national issues. This has been an interesting one, right?
I mean, 16 teams battling, struggling for the star prizes of 500,000 naira, 300,000 naira, and 200,000 naira for the first, second, and third places, respectively. You know, at this juncture, I think I have to make a comment. The speaker from Team Roar, he killed it. He did justice
No
to
doubt,
this
Miriam.
topic. He gave all his points. He came out strong, the energy and everything. Quite commendable. I mean, I think I'm going to be rooting for them.
Yes, you know what? I think I'll join you on this one too. Team Raw, that first speaker was just on point. The way he presented his facts and figures in a very coherent manner. And well, it might just, let's just wait and see what the second speakers have to do, right? Let's see if they'll do justice, and let's see if they do even better than the first speakers, right?
It is very important for us to note as Nigerians that corruption has dealt with us dearly. Since independence, Nigeria has lost over $500 billion to corruption. And the president, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, in December last year, instituted or institutionalized the whistleblowing policy to help fight against corruption. In fact, many people hold the view that he was elected because of his foremost ideology of fighting corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, side opposition has come out here to tell us today that many people do not know about the whistleblowing policy. Then how can we account for the 5,000 tips we got us at August? Those are people, not animals. Ladies and gentlemen, side opposition has also come out here today to tell us that the whistleblowing policy is going to engender more corruption. I am telling you here today that the whistleblowing policy is going to remove corruption. It is removing corruption. Since it was institutionalized, we have been able to realize a total of 48 billion naira, as was reported by Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, the Federal Minister of Finance. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a step in the right direction. And change doesn't just happen. Change is a process, and we are in the process of getting there. I'm a very optimistic person. Unlike side opposition, I believe in a greater Nigeria. I take Section 24 of the 1999 Constitution very seriously because I'm a citizen. I want to see this country better. Judges, I believe that you all will blow the whistle on any of your bosses who have stolen money. I believe the answer is in the affirmative. Ladies and gentlemen, we must all know today that the government has brought up various ideas from the 90s, from the 80s and the 70s, but none of these ideas have been able to do as much as the whistleblowing policy is doing in Nigeria today. The whistleblowing policy, according to the founder of whistleblowersinternational.com, he said to see wrongdoing and to be silent is to be a silent partner to its continuance. Many people have seen, and in fact, that this nation has to move forward. We are almost 60 years old. We started with Malaysia. We started with South Korea. Where are these nations today? These nations are up in the index of least corrupt countries. And where are we? 136. This is bad. Whistleblowing policy has come to repair this anomaly in our system. Ladies and gentlemen, I must tell you here today that Nigeria is moving the right way. Side opposition, blow the whistle. Join us and remove corruption from Nigeria. Thank you.
My panel of judges, co-debaters, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm Grace Innocent, and I'm here to oppose the motion that says the whistleblowing policy in Nigeria has helped in the fight against corruption. Why I stand here today to oppose the motion is because we must understand what caused corruption in Nigeria. Before we can bring a solution to a problem, we must find out what was the cause of the problem. I would like to itemize the things that cause corruption in Nigeria. 1, greed. 2, poverty. 3, lack of employment. 4, poor education and illiteracy. 5, lack of transparency in government policy. And 6, we have a weak economic policy. These are the major factors that contribute to corruption in Nigeria. Now, ladies and gentlemen, ask yourself, since the policy started, how many of these have the policy solved? Have the policy solved the greed in man? The reason why Nigerians would only come out to tell about to whistle is because the policy had promised a 2.5 or a 5% of the money gotten. If there was none of those attached, Nigerians would not come. In other words, the policy had not reduced greed in Nigeria, but has only aggravated greed in Nigeria. Secondly, lack of transparency. Why is it that since the inception of the policy, our leaders tell us that they've gotten this certain amount of money, but they have refused to reveal the names of these looters? We do not know these looters. These looters, at the end of the day, can come back and contest for political position, and we still vote them into position. As this policy helps to stop corruption, because these leaders are coming back to loot more money, and the cycle of corruption continues. This policy, thirdly, this policy had only helped corruption to grow to a diplomatic level, where we become blind that the policy has ended when it has not ended. What do I mean by that? The whistleblowing policy, fine. It has created distrust among Nigerians. My judges, will you think it's absurd if I decide to blow a whistle against you because the cost of one of your car can feed my family for a 3 square meal for 3 years? This has brought distrust among Nigerians. It is dividing Nigerians. This policy, the reason Nigerians contest or go after this whistleblowing is because they have an advantage. If we don't have an advantage in it, we won't go into it. In other words, I am saying the whistle policy has not helped to stop corruption, but has only helped to raise corruption in a diplomatic way. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to argue further, but I want you all to see the policy the way it is. Let's be very factual about it. Thank you.
Wow, that was some energy. Did you see that? I don't know if I prefer the second speakers now to the first.
Right now, I'm just indecisive. I can't decide.
But that was a good one all the same. They brought in so much energy and so much passion into that round.
Yes, so I think in my view, this is a tough call. I think I would just go 50-50 on this one. 50-50. I can't really decide.
Well, I'm not the judge, but I think I'll go with Team Raw. But let's find out what the judges have to say. Wow, so there you have it. Team Raw has taken this round. I say a very well-deserved one at that. It was a difficult call for the judges, I'm sure. But yeah, Team Raw did us proud, right?
Yeah, they did. I mean, you viewers are also not left out, of course. You can participate in our weekly quiz to stand a chance to win recharge cards and also join our campaign, I Chose Integrity, to stand a chance to win amazing prizes. To participate and win, log on to our website on the screen or check us out on our social media platform for more information.
Now, in closing, we just want to say a very big thank you to all our partners. There's no way we could have done this without you, so we're immensely grateful. But you watching us, remember you can catch us same time, same place next week. Yes, but before we go, we just want to say we can build a corrupt-free Nigeria in our lifetime if you join us.